This video we are going to discuss what is test initialization and what is test cleanup. Now you see we have defined test class here and test method as well. So this all are, we call it as a test attributes. If you hover in this test class, you can say this is the attribute, and what is the type of attribute? This is the test class level attribute. Similarly, this test method as well, this is also one kind of attribute. And what is the kind of type of attribute? It is test method attribute. Similarly, we have other attributes as well, so we are going to discuss each attributes. So in this video we are going to discuss test initialization attribute and test cleanup attribute. Let's first see how to define the test initialization attribute. For that, we have to write test initialize, then we have to define method for that, and let's say I'll give the method name as test setup. This is how we are going to define this test initialization. If you define this attribute and under that the method that you are going to write, we call it as a test initialize method. Now what is the purpose of this test initialization method? So basically this is the entry point. This is the first entry point whenever it is going to execute the test method. Now here you can see we have two test method here, test method 1 and test method 2. That means whenever it is going to execute test method 1, first it will come to the test initialization. It will execute test initialization code, whatever you write inside this block. Then again it will go to your test method level. It will try to execute this block. Then when it will come for the second test method, so for second test method as well, first it will try to execute test initialization method, then it will execute test method 2. That means each test method, this particular initialization code is going to call here. So let's try to write some code, and here I'll say I am test setup. Similarly, for here I will say test 1, and here I will say test 2. Now if I run this, now you will see if I click on this test method 1 execution, first can you see it is printing I am test setup, then it is printing test set 1. That means before executing this line, means this test method, it is going to execute this method first, which is tagged with the test initialize attribute. Similarly, if you go to the test method 2, now again you can see for test method 2, this method is going to call first. Here also you can see I am test setup, and then it is executing the script that you have written inside this test method. So this is what with the test initialization level. That means anything you want to define before your test method, we can define that under the test initialization. Similarly, we have another attribute, test cleanup. That means any method, let's say I'm defining one method cleanup, and I will say that console dot write line cleanup. Okay, so now if I again I'll execute this one. So this cleanup is the cleanup activity it will do. That means every test method it is going to execute at the last. Okay, if you see the test 1, can you see it is execute I am test setup, then it is executing test 1, then it is writing the cleanup. Okay, that means the flow is like before executing this test method, it will go to the initialization, it will execute this one, then it will execute the test method, then it will come for the cleanup. Similarly for the test 2, again it will first execute this test initialize, then it will execute your test method, then it will call the test cleanup method. If you click on test 2, you can see I am test setup, then test 2, and the cleanup is printing. So that is the flow. For each test case, the cleanup is going to call first, then it will execute the test method, then it will execute the cleanup. So initialization, test method, then cleanup, and this is the flow for each and every test method.